called Zakir Naik DDAT plus. Meaning what? Meaning that when you want to see me, put a plus next to Naik. And then you will see me, and even more than that. Zakir Naik has lectured on many important issues. And the reality is that his name has become important because of the media machinery behind him. Unfortunately, in the world of Ahlul Bayt, when we have lectures, many of us do not know where to refer to buy lectures, for example. These 10 nights or 11 nights may finish. Many people do not know where to buy the DVDs from. You will find, for example, people from London or people from America seeking the DVD. But because of our lack of organization, when it comes to media and when it comes to giving out the word of Ahlul Bayt, you find that this lack of organization means we are quite backward. Whereas Zakir Naik, as soon as his lecture finishes, you straight away see it on YouTube, number one. Then you see it in many of the bookshops and many of the video stores of our brothers around the world. And therefore he is easily accessible. You find, for example, he has a lecture on Islam and woman. You find, for example, he has a lecture on the Trinity. You find, for example, he has a lecture on the crucifixion. You find, for example, he has a lecture on science in the Quran. All of these areas he has sought to lecture and devote his life to the religion of Islam. Because one area we must appreciate before we strike any statement is appreciate the good work that somebody has done. Zakir Naik has done much good work, and that there are many out there who have converted to Islam because of his lectures. But our difference of opinion is over the statement that he has made. We don't have a difference of opinion with somebody who wants to bring people towards Islam, but that there are certain principles which have to be agreed upon. That's why the most uncharacteristic issue about his answer is that Dr. Zakir Naik doesn't normally answer about those areas of Islamic history. This was probably one of the first times when he answers, especially in relation to Yazid and Mukhtar. That's why Yazid, he seemed hesitant when answering about him. And when he was told about Mukhtar, he said, I'm not sure who Mukhtar is. And I don't know what his position is in Islamic history. Therefore, when we reply to Dr. Zakir Naik, we acknowledge that there is no doubt that the man's memory has served the religion of Islam. But in this area, there needs to be a reply, number one. Number two, is this a Sunni Shia issue? As in, when we reply to a scholar from the school of the Sunni brothers in the world of Islam, are we trying to cause friction? No. Is this a friction between the Ja'fari and the Hanafi? Is this a friction, for example, between the Deobandi and the Brailwi? No. This is simply a reply which looks at the principle of serving the grandson of Rasulullah. Why? Because we are taught to protect the grandson of Rasulullah, as Rasulullah himself said, Husaynun minni wa ana minal Husayn. Ahabba Allah man ahabba Husayna. Husayn is from me and I am from Husayn. Allah loves the one who loves Husayn. Therefore, when we come now and want to reply to a statement, we are only enjoining what Rasulullah is telling us. Because when Rasulullah says Husayn is from me and I am from Husayn, what does this mean? This means, number one, Husayn's thought is my thought. Husayn's stand is my stand. Husayn's knowledge is my knowledge. Husayn's message is my message. That's why Allah would not say, Ahabba Allah man ahabba Husayna. Allah would not say that I love the one who loves Imam al-Husayn, unless Imam al-Husayn's message was a reflection of his grandfather. That's why we are coming here to defend Sayyid Shabab Ahl al-Jannah. And Sayyid Shabab Ahl al-Jannah is not something only the Shia believe in. Sayyid Shabab Ahl al-Jannah, the master of the youth of paradise, which he shares with his brother Imam Hassan, is something which is agreed upon by all schools in Islam. There is not one school in the world today which disagrees. And even on this issue about Yazid, the most surprising area of Dr. Zakir's statement is that there have been many Sunni scholars in history who themselves have come forward and condemned Yazid and praised Abu Abdullah al-Husayn. Let me give you some examples. For example, Iqbal. Iqbal was a famous poet, a famous philosopher in the Pakistani world, in the Indian subcontinent, a man whose poetry is revered. What did Iqbal say about Abu Abdullah? Iqbal is not from the Shia, but Iqbal acknowledged the position of Abu Abdullah. He said, I burn like a flame in the candle of Hussein. This is one of his famous lines. I burn like a flame in the candle of Hussein. Then he has another line of poetry where he talks about the breeze. You see the wind, the breeze? He says, oh breeze, you take messages with you wherever you travel. Take my tears with you to Karbala. Look at this line. Oh breeze, you take messages with you wherever you travel. Take my tears with you to Karbala. Then he has a very important statement. And these are statements you have to quote, brothers and sisters. Why? Because these statements are statements made by non-Shia about Abu Abdullah. He says Hussein's position in Islam is as honored as Qul huwa Allahu ahad. Listen to his words. Hussein's position in Islam is as honored as Qul huwa Allahu ahad. He said Moses, Pharaoh, Hussein, Yazid. These are the conflicting forces of life. Notice his words. Moses, Pharaoh, Hussein, Yazid. He equates Yazid with Pharaoh. Why? In the same way that Pharaoh brought oppression towards the land, Yazid brought oppression towards the land. Therefore you find Iqbal comes forward as one of the scholars who's not a Shia, yet his line was a line to defend the message of Rasulullah. You find, for example, the famous Indian scholar Mu'in ad-Din Chishti. Mu'in ad-Din Chishti is not a Shia, yet when you read his words about Imam al-Hussein and about Yazid, you find that even though he's not a Shia, he still condemns Yazid. What does he say? He says about Imam al-Hussein, he says Imam al-Hussein is the foundation of La ilaha illallah. Imam al-Hussein is the foundation of La ilaha illallah. He then said Imam al-Hussein is the shield of all shields and the leader of all leaders. He then makes a beautiful point. He did not give his hand to Yazid, he gave his head to Yazid. Meaning what? Meaning that Abu Abdullah al-Hussein being the foundation of La ilaha illallah means what? Means Allah's message on earth was manifested in the actions of Abu Abdullah. That when we say La ilaha illallah, Imam Ali ibn Musa al-Rida used to say, Ana ahadi shurut La ilaha illallah. That if you want to understand La ilaha illallah, we the Imams of Ahl al-Bayt believing in us and following us is one of the conditions of La ilaha illallah. Likewise, you find amongst the other scholars who is not Shia, but still condemns Yazid. You find, for example, Jalal ad-Din al-Suyuti has a book called Tarikh al-Khulafa. In this book, he says, if ever two people in history deserve to be cursed, it would be Amr ibn al-As and Mughira ibn Shu'bah. Why? He said, because Amr ibn al-As was the man who put the Qur'ans on the spears in the Battle of Siffin. And he says Mughira bin Shu'bah was the man who was the cause of the appointment of Yazid through his father Muawiyah. Therefore Suyuti, who's a renowned scholar, not of the school of Ahl al-Bayt, mentions this area as a cause for cursing. Number three, when we look at Yazid, who was Yazid ibn Muawiyah? Many of us, all we know about Yazid is that we know that he was present, or he was the man who caused the martyrdom of Abu Abdullah. But who exactly was Yazid? When you go delve further into the life of Yazid, you begin to see certain things which are very important. Let me explain. Yazid ibn Muawiyah was born about the 27th or the 28th year of Hijrah. Because when Karbala happened, a hadith tells us he was 32 years old. How old? 32. When Abu Abdullah was killed on the 10th of Muharram, Yazid was in Sham, he was 32 years old. Therefore, he would have been born at around the 28th year of Hijrah, because Karbala happened in the 61st year of Hijrah. Yazid's father was Muawiyah, but I don't want to concentrate on his father. I want to concentrate on his mother. His mother was a